Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Para OR Normal Guyz. We have special guests tonight, and we have a new co-host. So let's do a couple things real quick. The chat's open, and so is the phone line, 1-888-88-YERGZ on your phone pad. We're also being transmitted live on Twitch, Twitter, Kick, Trovo, Yerg's Radio, and I don't know, those satellites in space or something. Somewhere else, wherever they've put me. So yeah, we're live. We're ready to go. And let's see. We have the new girl, Shay. You all be nice to her. Don't be mean. And then
I'm pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, I've heard that, but I'm kind of a big deal. But don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Well, yeah, I am too. So
we got Miss Dina.
Hello, I'm pretty awesome too.
I have to fill you in on that inside joke. It's Dina's fault. And then Mark is here. He is going to tell us all about his comic book and
He's pretty awesome.
I am pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty awesome to put on our show. So
Yeah.
That makes him extra awesome.
exactly. Well, Mark, welcome. We talked a little bit backstage about everything. So I'm just gonna let you have the floor and you tell us about your comic book. Look at the art. I love the artwork.
Thank you. So the name of my comic book is called Project Valhalla. And I just actually launched the Kickstarter campaign for it yesterday. So it's going to be going until April 11th. I know that you're going to be placing a link on there to it at a later date. So Project Valhalla was something I started when I was 12 years old. And, you know, not to give too much away, but I'm 53 now. So this is something that has been in my brain, in my thoughts, in my life for such a long time that, you know, I'm finding it a little crazy that I'm even at this point where I'm showing it to the world. And basically, when I was 12 years old, my parents gave me a role-playing game, like a D&D kind of thing, and it was Marvel Comics. And, you know, I didn't really like the game itself, but it allowed me to create comic book characters. So I actually started inventing all these characters, and that's really where it all came from. And, you know, in my 12-year-old mind, I had these 4 characters that all had terrible names, and the name of the team was a terrible team name. But as I started to mature and I started to get more involved in just this, what it represented to me, which was an escape from the world around me, a little safe imaginary world, it started to get more complex and it started to shift. And so I started to create worlds and philosophies and backstories and all these kind of crazy things that just let my little 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old imagination go wild. But because it was that thing that, you know, in a lot of ways, I want to say my dog and the comic book are the thing that saved me as a kid. I think that it was just too private for me to even share. It was, you know, even with my family, it was kind of like my little thing that I just kept to myself. And I'd always been obsessed with comic books to begin with. I think I got my first Spider-Man comic book when I was 10 years old. And it quickly went from one comic book to the local comic book store and, you know, getting, you know, everything I could get every Friday when they would come in with the new weekly comic books. And it quickly became an obsession for me. So, you know, that, you know, doesn't lead yourself to a lot of interactions where you're the cool kid in school. So wanting me to then talk about this comic book world that I've created, you know, I didn't want to get, you know, beaten up and thrown in the lockers as a middle school kid, or at least think I was going to. So yeah, so I worked on it for years, all through high school. Then college came, and it just kind of went into the attic in my parents' house, and so I kept it there for a long time. It just collected dust, and then in 2009, my mom passed away, and my dad was in pretty bad shape. So my brother and I decided to sell the house. And as we were going through, the stuff that we were going to keep and sell and, whatever, I found the box that had all of my old files, discs, character drawings, everything you could possibly think of. And I just started to look at it again. And when I did that, I started to see something that was actually pretty interesting and pretty valid and pretty complex. And so over the course of the next, 10 years or so, I just started to modernize it. I started to go more in depth. And, I started to take influences from the things that I really loved in the fantasy world, like Lord of the Rings, was a perfect example of something that I just fell in love with, and I wanted to take some of the aspects of what I loved from that into the comic book. And so what I ended up creating was like a fable. It's definitely got your traditional comic book superheroes fighting the bad guys kind of thing, but really those stories are all layered upon layered and over a larger story that takes place over it's going back thousands of years before the actual comic book started. And so it's a big saga with a kind of classic good versus evil, and saving the universe kind of motif that is really so popular in comic books. It's a trope, I guess. But yeah, so the characters themselves, I've got 8 characters, who 7 of who have a reoccurring dream that some of them know each other, but the majority of them are complete strangers. But they all begin to have the same dream. And that dream ends up taking them eventually to Arlington Cemetery, actually in DC, where you used to.
Wow.
And when they get to the cemetery, they find that they're all drawn to this one grave. And because one of the characters in particular is a character named Scion, he's a telepath and a telekinetic. And he's able to tell that there's something that's actually, there's brainwaves coming down there. This is not a dead body. And the body is then exhumed, and she wakes up with no idea of what's going on, no idea that she was dead, and absolutely no idea of why she had been sending this message. And so really what it starts out with is a big mystery. Why are these characters all being drawn here to someone who has no idea what they're talking about? And what does this have as the ramifications? And so it starts out at the very first double issue is what I'm showing on Kickstarter right now. And it's basically part of it's that origin, that meeting that I just told you about. And the rest is actually one of the characters going to kind of rescue the city that he's from a madman, really. And so you get that kind of classic story that everyone loves, fighting the good fight, being overwhelmed by a massive force of people or creatures, and trying to persevere against these insurmountable odds. And the exciting stuff that we love about comic books. We love the fights, we love the battles, we love seeing their powers in action. But really, this is all layering upon layering to get me to the real story, which is so much more than it's really about the woman in the grave and why she's there and why they've all been brought. And that's going to unwind over time. So you'll just have to keep, funding my Kickstarters so you can see more of the story.
But you're
But yeah, so I can, clearly there's tons I could talk about because this is 40 years in the making. but I also want to keep it interesting for the viewer. So, I guess maybe if there's some questions that you have for me that I can kind of expand from there, or else I can keep talking like a a little fan.
Well, no, we always have questions. You may have said, is this set in present day or is it in the future? Or
It's set in the present day.
Okay.
It's set in the present day, but at certain points it's going back to like right around World War II. But yeah, for the most part, it's a present day situation.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And had you actually forgotten about this? You said that it was tucked away in the attic, but had you really forgotten about it, or was it one of those things that was just every time?
Yeah, I think it was like I think I just saw it as my little, the Linus safety blanket kind of thing,
Yeah.
where it was just like this thing that was there that really got me through, those terrible teen years, and I was just going to leave it there. But then when I opened it up and started seeing all the time and energy that I put into this, and it seemed like it wasn't the right thing to do, to just leave it be. I'm a writer, but I'm also a potter. And so, one of the things that I think is important as an artist, whatever kind of art you do, is to understand that, the creative process is one thing and working on it for yourself is one thing, but it really doesn't become art until you actually share it with the world. And that's what I began to realize about this. So what happened is I went on Facebook and I went onto one of these, comic book writers looking for artists. I mean, one of those kind of pages. And about, 5 years ago, and I found the artist Joe DeSantos, who is the one who's done all this spectacular art for me. And, I had so much source material and he's like, a good old Brooklyn boy. So he was like, let's work on this and get it into shape, and and kind of try to figure out where you want to go in the directions, and kind of help me hone it in. And so what we did first was we created a who's who, a Bible, like a pitch scenario where I designed the characters, gave a little bit of a bio on them, what their powers were, an action shot of seeing them in action. And I put that together along with some of the aliens, some of the other species that are in this world, and it's just some of the background, some of the things I've been talking about here, and a source. I guess the best word to say this is a source book, and so we had that, and I needed that because I'm many things, but an artist is not my strength. And so finally seeing these characters come to life kind of excited me for the next stage. And then he and I worked together on the double issue of the story, which is, like I said, part of it's the origin, part of it's that big battle so it's like a two-parter, but it all kind of comes together in the end. And so he helped me work that through, and then it just, and then COVID came, and it just sat there, and just sat there, and I started to reread what we had done, and I realized that again I needed an extra set of eyes. So he got me in contact with a guy named Aaron Dowan, who's another comic book writer and creator, who helped me edit my script and kind of fine tune it and make it a stronger piece. And so with those two guys, I was able to, the name of the comic is Project Valhalla. So with that said, we were able to get it together and kind of have what we have now. And, I could have just, figured out how to pay for the printing and get it out there. But, Kickstarter was really a way for me not only to crowdfund, but also to build these kind of connections like I'm making with the three of you now, which I wouldn't have done if I just said, oh, I'm going to print 15 of them and just see where I'm going with it, So
I do love the art.
Yeah, the art is amazing. He did a really fantastic job. And
so it's like it is a comic book then, correct?
This is considered, we're considering this a graphic novel, this one, because
Graphic novel.
actually
Okay.
that first part, the two, the double issue, and then the source book.
Okay.
Right now, should I be answering these questions as they come up?
You can.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're relevant. Other times they're just like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's right now. It's in the Kickstarter campaign phase.
Yeah, I was
So,
looking at the Kickstarter while you were
Yeah.
speaking.
So when it's going to be available is so the campaign ends on the 11th, but everything is done. We have a digital copy already. We have all
Okay.
we have everything ready to be sent to the printer. We just don't have the funding to send it to the
Gotcha.
printer. So
Okay.
if the listeners were to go on, or the viewers were to go on to my Kickstarter, you'd be able to get that kind of information. And we have the wonderful thing about Kickstarter is it allows you to have like tiered gifts. So we're going to be doing
Yeah.
Kickstarts and mugs and
Sweatshirts and your
stretch
stickers.
goals. Yeah,
Mhm.
stickers. We got the stickers on the way. We're going to be doing some unique. Joe's fantastic, and he is going to not only be doing a brand new cover for the whole book, but he's going to
Nice.
be creating a one of a kind piece of art that will be sending out to certain people who reach that tier. It's going to be signed by me and by him,
Very
and
good.
so that kind of stuff. It's just and it's exciting. The idea of seeing these characters on someone's shirt just walking by me on the street is I wouldn't even be able to tell you how exciting that would be for me.
Yeah.
Well, you're coming full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real full circle. Real full
Yeah.
circle.
Like a long circuitous circle.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well,
Well, it is exciting.
From all the way back to age 12 to now. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some time where it just wasn't in the forefront of my imagination, so I'll take a good 15 years out of that, just from the fact that it was
still started back when you were 12. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us boys never grow up. Come on.
Yeah. No, I'm always
Comic books. Come on.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just like to pretend we do, but I'll always be a big kid.
Yeah. Same.
It's the ones who grow up, and actually become an adult. Those are the boring ones. So
Losers.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
You're absolutely right.
But
so I take it from
if you can't laugh at a good fart joke,
a good fart meme is always a good one.
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I have a grandson now, so I have one to share it with. So
Yeah.
Like, oh, my finger. Oh, grandpa.
yeah. Pretty much. So, growing up, you were a Marvel guy, right? Is that, or were you just kind of
a big Marvel guy? I fell in love with Spider-Man, but really, I think there was John Byrne was probably my favorite artist as a kid. He did everything from the X-Men, Fantastic Four. I mean, West Coast Avengers. I mean, everything during that time period. He was the one that created the She-Hulk that we actually saw in the show that some people didn't love, but those of us who were purists understood the source material and where it was coming from. So I enjoyed it for that. But he's Canadian, and he created a comic book that started out in the X-Men called Alpha Flight. And I would say that the characters in that were probably the beginning of the understanding of where I wanted to go with just really diverse, really interesting, one-of-a-kind characters. Because those characters were they were all kind of based on Canadian stereotypes in a sense. But one of them is Sasquatch, as a matter of fact. So you might
awesome.
Yeah.
He's my hero.
Yeah, he's a great character. But one of the things that that really got me to want to kind of try to find these really unique characters that really gelled together in a way that wasn't that wouldn't have made sense until they were together. And that was the way that comic book was, and that was kind of very inspiring for me. So I would say along with Tolkien and the whole saga aspect of it, and obviously like Japanese Japanese anime and things like that have always been inspiring too. But I would say from comic book standpoint, I would say it was John Byrne who probably was my biggest influence in this comic book. And And props to him because he created some beautiful art and some amazing stories.
And the nice thing is you'll get to meet a lot of people that you looked up to growing up. That's the cool part of doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I was interviewing several authors, and a couple of them had tried to venture over into comic book world, but they didn't realize how difficult it was, because you have to tell the artist exactly what you want to see. So each little panel is actually a story in itself that you have to write, so that the artist
make each panel a novel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what I had to learn, because then Travis would be like, this is like a full page for one panel. And I'm like, I'm trying to be as descriptive as possible, giving you everything you want.
But you can't. You have to do it with the emotions on their face and their body language.
Like, I'm just going to send you a selfie with the face I want for each one.
Well, also, you can't just have the talk bubble and like a little head so you can fit
right.
He wants to, people are lazy readers in general. So I think that's actually one of the reasons I liked comic books so much, because I didn't books were intimidating for me as a kid, and so I think that my parents started getting me and my older brother too comic books because they were seeing us read, and I think that was one of the things.
Boys reading. It's good.
Yeah. Really, not watching the Brady Bunch on TV.
I love to read.
Yeah.
My brother did not, so he likes
to death. They're reading.
Yeah. I mean, I like comic books too. Mine were like Archie and Barbie and stuff like that. But I wasn't really into the superheroes at that time. But
you were a Richie Rich kind of girl, weren't you?
I was Richie Rich and the Archies.
Yeah,
I love the Richie Rich.
I was a Harry Potter kid, so
of course. Yeah, see, mine was Star Wars
Racer. Yeah, mine was Spider-Man and Speed Racer. So
Spider-Man, Speed Racer, and there was this one called it was back in the day. It was called Star Blazers, and it was a Japanese anime where the Earth was dying, and they had to go all the way across space to get this thing to save it. And it was a serial, which was one of the first times I'd seen a comic book serial or a cartoon serial. And that was really an influential one for me too. If you've not seen it, it's really kind of interesting. It's called Star Blazers, and they have a whole bunch of seasons, but the first two are probably the ones we would have seen here in America.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, look it up. But going back to your question about the comic book, so I have a history. I was in the entertainment industry out of college. I worked in LA and spent a lot of time in the jobs in the beginning reading a lot of scripts. And I think that was one of the things that kind of allowed me to go from being a writer to being a comic book writer, because I think there's so much of that same structure in a film script or a television script as there is, we're telling people where the camera's supposed to be, so on and so forth. And so, but yeah, you're right.
What's the angle? What's the expression?
Exactly. And, so it took me, it did take me a while to think, well, I'm going to write this script, but I'm not going to be able to draw it. So what's the point, kind of thing. To finally, just saying, well, if I don't have the script, I'm never going to be able to do it. So, that is a really interesting point, because, there's a lot of people that think, well, if you're into comic books and you don't know how to, and you don't consider yourself a good artist, why are you bothering, And I think that kind of inner critic kept it from happening for me for a long time also.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. I think it's a relationship too. I think you have to. I mean, a good artist can draw anything, but I think if you get in a relationship with somebody that they know how to complete your sentence, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find.
That's the thing I have to say. I mean, I'm here talking to you guys, but Joe and Aaron. I would never have been able to get to this point without them, because, well, first of all, with Joe, I mean, he just got where I was going with this, and he got excited about it, which then helped me to feel excited about it too. And then Aaron too, both of them kind of saw the potential in these stories and saw, my hesitation to present it to the world, and more like, you just got to do it.
No, go for it.
Yeah. And it took me a long time. I wish I could have said that I had the guts to do it earlier. But you as much as I like to be a kid, you also gain a lot of perspective as you get older. So
Right.
I'll tell you this from us just now going through it, because of how long Travis has been doing comics, and this being the first time, our first one being out, and you go through all the crap, deal with all the people, all the crappy people that you have to get through to find your right people to make the project. And something I keep trying to tell him, because we've tried on and off for a couple of years to try to do something like this, I said, it happens when it happens for a reason. There was a time, there's a reason why 4 years ago it didn't happen. There's a reason why us trying to put together a group last year didn't happen. It was meant to happen now.
One thing too, I noticed you said that you were kind of fearful of sharing it, or not fearful, embarrassed maybe, because it was yours. My daughter was like that. She's a really good artist. She can draw or she makes her own characters and draws characters as well. But she did not want to share them with anybody at first. She does now. She'll sell them for, I don't know, trade and sell, whatever. The like little Pokemon. It's not Pokemon now, but it's like those kind of characters. I'm not sure what they're called, but it was like really personal to her. They were her babies, those were hers, and it was like very, very personal to her. So I think that
some real confidence takes people a long way, and I think that's completely true.
Having the right people behind you takes you a long way.
Yeah,
because I didn't mention that I had worked with a couple different trying to find the artist. I'd worked with a couple other ones, and we just didn't gel. I mean, when I lived in Vermont, in White River Junction, there's actually a comic book school, like a college kind of thing. And so I found a guy. He was a great guy, but it just wasn't the right connection. And when I met Joe, it started to make sense. And that's just
you are all in the same
mindset.
Well, there for a reason.
Yeah.
And we're both we both grew up in the New York metro area, so we've got that same sensibilities, and those things. You don't think those things matter, but a lot of times they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well, it makes it a lot easier to work together too.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'm sorry, is it echoing on me? Because I thought I turned off the echo.
It's echoing just a little bit, but I think it's everybody.
Yeah. Okay. One of the
it's Travis. Hold on.
Oh.
You
I just didn't want to be if it's someone else.
Travis is watching. He's going to turn it down.
So I lost my train of thought and all of that. So I just have to go into that. But yes, this is so exciting for me because, I grew up in a family that saw art as a waste of time, and and I think I think a lot of people grow up with that. I like I said before, I'm a potter, and I actually teach pottery here where I live. And here's some of my pottery just to show you.
Oh, that's beautiful!
Wow, that's very nice.
Thank you. But what I see in that is I see people who have that part of that in their head of someone still saying, well, you're not an artist, you can't make any money.
Yeah.
So they feel like creativity is something that only the masters should try to play around with. And I can't say that it didn't take me a long time to kind of call myself a writer, and I went to grad school for it to try to and what I realized from going to grad school was I was paying all this money just so I could officially call myself a writer. And
And you were doing it all along.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was doing it all along, but yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's talking to his boyfriend.
You were talking about when you finally got it to gel. So I assume the three of you have sat down together and like, the beginning where you're at now. Have you got an end point, or is this going to expand into like Marvel multi-universes, or?
It's going to stay within the same universe. It's funny that a couple of weeks ago when we were still working on the pre-launch, Joe said to me, now you have to start thinking about episode 2 or issue 2. And I said, I had a lot of free time.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, 12 stories. So I've got 12 stories after this that have already been written. Because during COVID, what else was I going to do? So, I just was being.
Now, you had not written a book before this. You just all your work had been commercial or journalism type of stuff, correct?
Exactly. Though I have written the first draft of a fantasy novel. That's basically, it kind of plays off of some of the themes of this comic book. So actually, I would say they're in the same universe, even though they'll never meet. Yeah.
I was gonna say you could definitely have some sort of crossover there.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I spend a lot. When you have a lot of free time because you're not working and you can't go anywhere, and you live in Vermont where your closest neighbor is half a mile away, it leads to a lot of isolation, which leads to a lot of I got to figure out something before I go stir crazy.
Yeah.
And so that was that actually ended up being a positive thing, because I ended up doing a lot of creative kind of amazing things with my writing, and Project Valhalla is really the crux of it, if you will. So
did you write it like a script? I mean, since you've done script, did you write it like script writing? Did you write it like a script at first, or?
Yeah, I wrote it like a script at first. It turned out to be so long because so I did it by page, and by I basically figured out how many panels you can have per page, and went from there, and so described each panel. I mean, not everyone has 6 panels, but some are
right.
But that was also where Joe came in, because he is an artist. He sees it that way versus the way I see it, where I'm about the story.
You can't make me draw 6 panels on every page.
People will look at it and be like, "Oh, this is so boring visually,"
Yeah, sometimes you have to have double panels.
That's me. I'm no, we have to have 6 because then we have to have all this first story. We have to have all of this here.
Sometimes you have to have a double panel.
Yeah. Sometimes you have it on, if you can work it out to get it on both pages.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is cool too.
Yeah, it is.
I am the writer. Yes, I'm the writer and the creator.
The writer and creator of it all. So it's your universe.
It's my universe.
Yes.
That is, you get to play in it, and you don't let anybody in you don't want to. That's it. Well, that goes back to kid thinking too, but it's true, So if you had thought early in life you were going to write and write comic books, who would you have wanted to have written for back when you were younger? Not now, because we've got history on our side. So
Marvel, honestly, I think that I always identified with the way that they told stories, where there was a humanness to their stories that, DC, I'm not going to say anything bad about, because I think that those characters are great, but a lot of them were like, I'm ultra impenetrable except for this one weakness. Don't get me,
Yeah.
And when Stan Lee and they started to create these characters, they were human. They had basic human frailties, insecurities.
I love Stan Lee.
Yeah, me too. And and so I could relate to that. And then you have something like X-Men, which is nothing but allegory for minorities being prejudiced against, and what that means for them, and those kind of stories, they spoke to me. And, and also there's something about like the secret identity and, being one thing to the world, but being in truth a totally different thing that, I think I relate to, and a lot of people like me relate to it.
Well, that's cool. How do you think that the Marvel universe has managed to keep? I mean, they've kept this under wraps for over 20 years, and they are still going. Their endpoint is still not. How does a writer do that? How do you have that kind of vision to see stuff that you don't even? I mean, heck, look at the quality of the art that's improved since the 80s, just in the comic books alone. How do you have the vision to see all that, and much less put it on the big screen and still know where you're going with it?
It's, I mean, I think that's my main focus with this comic book, is to always be true to the overarching story. And, don't lose sight of what of the main story that I'm trying to tell. Every episodic story has something that will move the other story ahead. And I think that, when you were looking at any kind of, television, any comic books, whatever, it was always, a half an hour or an hour show. And then next week it was a totally different one.
Yeah.
Like the one before it hadn't happened. And I really think it's TV, like this shows like The Sopranos and things like that.
Yeah.
That really started to show people a different way of storytelling. That I think of that TV show Lost, which kind of lost its way for me at the end, but that was a really great, roller coaster ride that you were on. And that's one thing when people ask me about my comic book, I say, think of it as a roller coaster ride that I'm taking you on, because that's the way it's going to be. I want people to be entertained. I want them to enjoy what they're doing. I want them to look at these things and be like, that's cool. The way he does that, or the way this character does that, or the way they use their powers, it's cool. It's cool to look at. And, but to go back to your question, I think that first of all, they marketed the hell out of the stuff. So it was in everyone's face. They said, and there's everyone in the world knows Spider-Man, probably everywhere, just by the fact that he's gone there. So I think we have that identifier, but also I think that a lot of times they just do it for a while and it becomes so kooky and crazy that they're just like, oh, time to start over. And how many times has DC started over? You can do that with.
Lord, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, in fact, I saw a trailer for Spider-Man where they're going to take the original Spider-Man and bring him back and do something totally different with him. And he's like, "This is the story I wanted to tell."
That's just weird. I don't like that.
I start getting confused.
I don't. I like the long vision, like like the story carries you, like you said, The Sopranos. I mean, of course you can come back and redo, I guess, but I don't know. I like the long vision.
People just need to learn that. Sometimes you shouldn't.
Yeah, sometimes you just shouldn't. It's
even
weird.
Even if it might be a little bad, the first way around is fine. It's endearing.
Right. Yeah.
I was upset that we wasted 2 hours killing Uncle Ben again. I was like, I know this already. Move on.
Well, I also think about things like, I was looking at The Simpsons the other day, which I was a huge fan of, but they're in season 34 and those kids haven't grown up.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That's I think, going back to your story, comic books allow these characters to stay perennially the same age that they are.
Yeah.
So that gives you the opportunity to really tell a story in a way that you can't in a live action situation.
Right.
Because people are just get old. They can't do the stunts. They whatever. And so I think that's another reason why.
Jackman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
If you're Matt Groening, you've been to the future and you know what's going to happen. So
it's funny. I think he's got some superpowers there. Maybe I should talk to him.
I would love to get 5 minutes with him and Kirkman.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something as one writer to another. Whenever you're like, you've spent your life growing up reading comic books and everything, what did you come into this project saying, I see this everywhere and everything else, I hate it, I want to do this different with mine to make it stand out?
Well, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about making, characters that every character in my opinion can stand on their own and as a solo character. They don't need each other necessarily to be an interesting character. And that I don't always think is the case. I think a lot of the times you have a character that if he or she or they weren't surrounded by the other characters that were really interesting, they would just fall by the wayside. And so I guess my goal was to make to take those things I was saying about Marvel, where we're looking at characters that are really have some real human qualities to them and make them identifiable for us, and also just make them cool. Like give them cool powers, give them cool backstories, and so on and so forth.
So I have a real thing where, like, if I'm writing something, I'm like, no, it's got to be something that I haven't seen 50 million times, or if I have, they're always doing this, so mine's got to be this, but amped up to, like, yes. I have, like, where we were talking about, having like the right team and everything, and when you have that person that, like, can just finish your sentences, I had wanted to do an educational witchy webcomic. And the artist that I found that was interested in doing it, I swear to God, she could read my mind.
That's always good.
She's the same little witchy chick like me, and I was like, well, I'm thinking this mixed with this, and she shows me the picture, and I was like,
that's it.
I swear to God,
get out of my head.
What I had in my head.
And that's, I have to say, I was lucky enough to find that. It was third time's a charm, but yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to find that, and to also have someone that is a fantastic artist in his own way. So, I definitely agree with you. I think that's where the magic happens. I mean, it's Lennon McCartney, for example. Yeah. They're just they come and they're just special, and I think that's just the way art is. You just people can work together.
You can volley off of each other and be like, oh, well, you've got a great idea with that, and we can do this. And
yeah, and that's why I was really happy to get Aaron on board too, because I think I was so close to these stories that I couldn't. It was hard for me to get perspective on what was working and what wasn't working necessarily. And so having Aaron as my editor and saying, let's sharpen this, let's take out a little of this, let's add a little of that, and let me see it from his perspective rather than from my own. I think that made it a stronger story too. And so, again, it takes a village, as they say.
Yep. Well, excuse me just a minute. I'll be right back.
For those of y'all that are interested, she's got to go get her draws.
Laundry's important. We have to accept that.
Absolutely.
And Uncommon Soul, I am working on it. I have 2 separate witch books I'm working on.
Oh, fantastic. I would love to see your stuff after, we'll have to get connected because I would like to see.
Yeah, I have a little group where it's we're our own little coven is what we call ourselves.
That sounds great.
So the 3 of us being so different, I was like, this would make a perfect book. And I was trying to come up with a clever name, and because you've got the mother, the maiden, and the crone in your witchy history. So I am the maiden. Weirdly, our oldest coworker is the mother, and then the middle one is the crone. So I'm developing a story called Which is Which.
I like that.
Great.
And then I have Blessed Be, Love the Earth, which is like a little cottage witch named Mitzi who is in, she lives in like a little shack in the forest where she's got books and papers and stuff everywhere, and she goes out and she teaches you like, well, you can gather these herbs, and these herbs were traditionally used for. So I was like, I'd read that.
Cool.
My thing is always like, well, I'd like to read something like that. I'm sure there's somebody else that would.
And that's the thing that I think we realize is that we're actually kind of cheating people if we don't give them the opportunity to see if they like something or not, right? Mm-hmm. And that was what I was beginning to realize about my own art. My own comic book was, this is being selfish in a way, because I'm just keeping this and someone could enjoy it. And that's, that is, one of the major reasons why I started going forward with it. Because it was just.
Well, and I think something too, as a reader myself, a big thing that people I think will appreciate about that is the whole backstory that goes into it of how long you've been working on it. Because one of my favorite authors is from West Virginia, where I'm from, and her book, the way I found out about her was reading her book in high school that we were required to for my English class. And the stuff that woman went through growing up, but just how eloquently she put it. It was horrible, some of the stuff that her parents put her through and the situations, but it makes you respect the writer so much more.
Yeah. And there's something about life experience and and just how it can inform you in a different way. I just don't think I would have been able to tell the same story at 25, even though I had the source material already, as I do now in my later years.
It was, and again, my thing, it's the universe saying, nope, you got to work on it a little bit more.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, to go along with your witchy stuff, I have a good friend of mine who's also in that world up in Vermont. And she made a point of telling me that March 12th, which is the day I launched it, was a new moon. And she said, that's a good thing that you did that. Yep. And that had been a coincidence, but I liked hearing that because I was like, I'll take anything I can get.
Yep. Little sprinkling from the goddesses.
Yep. Yeah, one thing you said kind of reminded me of a story. When I started in Virginia, ended up in Tennessee, and then got here in Georgia. Not sure how. And we were going through some old boxes last summer, or the summer before, I can't remember. And I found an old notebook, and it was like some of my stuff from like middle school. It was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And of course, I'm third generation firefighter, but I was like, at that point in time, I don't know. I wrote that I wanted to help people and see the world as an 8-year-old. And it turned out I had been a flight paramedic and I've traveled around the world as a paramedic. And I'm like, I didn't even remember that. And so when you were talking about that, it kind of clicked in my head, as a child, you do think of the bigger picture, but you reel it in because you're in such a small world. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also society teaches you like, well, you have, this is the right way to do things. And, I think one of the things that I envy of the younger generations is the kind of like, yeah, you don't have to play, you don't have to play by those rules. I mean, I was stuck under, as a Gen Xer, I was stuck under the baby boomer wing, and, they were so much more, there were so many more of them,
There's a lot of that I have to have have to help Travis with too. That's why a lot of like when it comes to like the marketing and stuff, I take care of so much of that because he is still like, we didn't do it this way, and I'm like,
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I'm like, I know, but this is how we have to do stuff now. So
yeah. Totally. And, but that's exciting too. I think there's just so many changes coming on and just the opportunity. I mean, 15 years ago, the opportunity to be on something like this, I mean, that just wasn't, it was non-existent. And now I'm, able to talk about Project Valhalla, in a way that people are going to be able to, listen to it all over the country. And I've made 2 new friends, in the meantime, 3, if she gets back from her laundry. But yeah, and this is these are the kind of things that we begin to take for granted. But when you actually step back and realize, it's pretty fascinating. And but yeah, tangent.
But I know what you mean, and part of that too. I'm the type that if I have an idea, I have to immediately write it down because like it'll end up going for something that I need later. Mm-hmm. And I had got inspired by a story that Travis was working on that he was working on for a guy, and he wrote this story based off of a family member's illness, and this was their superpower. And I have seizures, so I was like, I could develop a character off of that, and she could be who knows what. But I came up with the idea of Saul. Her name is Marisol, but she goes by Saul, and she's like really to me, looking back, because at the time I hadn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, it screams very much Guardians of the Galaxy with like a Groot and Rocket kind of thing. There's a little smart mouth one and a big dumb one.
Yep.
And then there's her who, I don't know if you've seen Disney's Atlantis, but the little, I think she's Latino, the little Latino girl that like works on all the engines and everything. I kind of based her off of that. And because I personally, just as the type of person I am, if you show me something and you're like, here, well, I based this off of, my personal experience. This is all like with that story that Travis was working on for this guy. I was like, that's some deep stuff. And I like hearing cool stuff about that. If your story's got a cool backstory like that, that's more for me to be able to take off down the rabbit hole of it.
Right. Cool.
Lonnie was asking, he said he was late to the show, but he wanted to know if you were including any gods in the story. He's referring to the Valhalla.
Yeah, it's a good question. I wasn't really sure what that question was asking, but there are godlike beings for sure, and that's part of the overarching story of kind of the battle of good versus evil. But if you want to check out, the Kickstarter page, I'm going to be part of that. Who's Who is actually giving a little bit of that, a little hint of that backstory that I'm going to not touch upon because, on here, because I wanted to unwind.
All the goods.
Yeah, I can't give away, can't put the cart before the horse, as they say. But in that was one of the things that we decided to do with the Who's Who part is, give the people who decide to promote this, to back it, I should say. By giving them a little something that the rest of the people won't know.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
Well, we can't let you get out of here without asking you a paranormal question.
Yes, you warned me.
Yeah. I try to give everybody a heads up because sometimes I freak people out. So, have you ever seen a Bigfoot, a ghost, or anything kind of creepy crawly?
Well, you know what? Actually, I have seen a ghost. And you were asking me before about seeing Bigfoot, and I never I never saw Bigfoot, but when I lived in Vermont, we lived right on the Green Mountain National Forest, and I did hear the telltale knocking of the trees that people talk about every once in a while. And I watched the Bigfoot hunting shows too, so I knew that was going on. But the ghost, so this one, when I was living in LA, there was a ghost that lived in our apartment building, and he or she would come up the stairs on the outside. We were on the second floor. Come up the stairs, you would hear the footprints come up, and then it would stop, and it would happen a couple times, and you'd open the door, and there'd be no one there. And then I was living in LA during the big earthquake in '93. Maybe it was a dream, but I swear to God that the night before it happened, I woke up and there was something in the room that had form to it, and it turned out to be almost exactly the same time as the Northridge earthquake happening the next day, and that was
you had yourself like a Mothman thing happen.
What it was special, and it was something my other two roommates didn't see, and I didn't question it. I never feared the ghost that was living in that house, in that apartment, but I definitely know there was one there, and that was
He was just cool. He was taking a midnight stroll.
Yeah. Who knows?
Like, hey, buddy, you might want to get out of here.
Yeah.
It's exactly like, watch out. But the thing is, I like to believe that everything exists because I think it makes the world more interesting. If that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I did. So when I was doing the cross country from DC to LA, I ended up in one night in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I looked outside the hotel room, and there was this glowing orb that was changing different colors up in the sky, not too far from where we were. And I remember my friend that I was with turning on the TV, and they were reporting it on the Flagstaff News.
Oh, wow.
And so that was my one time where I saw an unidentified flying object.
Have you seen Phoenix Forgotten?
I have
that just
not.
reminded me of that.
But it was
I can't find it anywhere now.
Oh,
but
wow.
It was out in theaters several years ago, and it was all I'm pretty sure it was all based on true events of lights that were seen, and I know it didn't do great in the box office. It came out in 2017.
Okay.
When were you in Arizona?
That was a long time before that. It was 1993.
It's based out of the 1997 lights that were seen over Phoenix.
In Phoenix, yeah.
But the girl's brother goes missing, and all. I won't ruin the story for you, but it just made me think of that.
Yeah. So basically, my feeling is that there's so much more to the world than just what we see with our eyes and with our senses, and unless I can, there's no reason for me not to believe in something, because it just, like I said, it makes the world more interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Well, Mark, tell us where everybody can find your stuff, and remember, I'll put in the info in the.
Yeah. So I've got a Kickstarter program for Project Valhalla. If you go to Kickstarter, we'll give you the link here, but it's under there. So I have a Facebook page for Project Valhalla. It's Project Valhalla, all one word. And you can start looking at things. That'll give you a nice link as well to the Facebook page.
We'll make sure we share everything around for you.
Yeah, and I sent you a couple images and stuff of so I sent you a page of sequential art and things like that. Yeah. That maybe some people.
I won't share that with anybody but our group. So you're cool.
Yeah. So anyway, you're going to the Kickstarter page. We'll get you a really good idea of what the things I'm talking about. I have a trailer there where I talk about
It was great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That was Aaron. So
you know, amazing voiceover work.
Oh, thank you. You know, that is a struggle. You know, hearing but
whenever I filmed ours, I literally I did like 20 takes trying to get everything right.
Yeah, this one I was concentrating on looking at all of you, so I don't have to look at myself.
Well, for me, I was like, the only place we have good lighting in here is the bathroom. Thank God I'm putting the backdrop on this. It has to be perfect.
I want you to come back and see us after the book's released. So I'm thinking after the show. You can come back after the show too if you want, but after the comic books are all out, and tell us your success, where you're going, and stuff like that. So keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a horrible communicator because I get so many messages every day. So just bear with me.
You can yell at me.
No, this has been a thrill. Thank you so much for having me on. I was really fun to talk about it.
It was great to meet you.
Baby. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And speaking of voices, our next guest is here. So, Mark, I'm going to let you go. But you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for everything. And we'll talk to you soon.
Good. Bye now.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, bye-bye. I can figure out which button to hide Mark. And then everybody said that I couldn't pull it off. But I did. I did. I got Robin Williams. Everybody said, no, you can't do it. They were going to make fun of me. I say that and he's hiding. So, but he's hidden.
Where is he?
There he is. So.
That's where it come from. Amazing, man. Hey, what's going on? Oh, blast from the past. Say, look, my God, you look like you're looking at a ghost. It's okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. I'm all right. We're just hanging out here in a place that no one cares where you live. Down in the South. Come on in and disappear. Wee-wee. Good to see you, man. How's it going, my brother Glenn? How you doing?
Doing great,
so
man.
Crazy.
Man.
Glad to finally get to meet you. Well, not in person, but meet you. It is great. We've talked, and everybody's like, "You're not going to get Robin Williams." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Just give me time."
About as close as it could get.
So,
it's a little scary.
It's so scary. Are you
close for it at all?
The dog. Very nice. I like it. How you doing? So is it pronounced Dina or Deanna?
Dina.
How do you pronounce your name? It's
Dina.
Ding,
Yes.
ding, 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 ding. That's the first paranormal experience of the night. My wife's name is Dina. You know, the same way. This person I've seen in 30 years with that same spelling. Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a true story.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, she's a girl who can never find her name that says Dina from a state. She goes, where am I from? You're D. It's just D-E-E or D. You'll never find D-E-A-N-A, right?
I know.
Never happens. Well, it's good to be here, man. How you guys doing? Welcome to the Paranormal Guys. Yeah, what's up? I'm David Robin Williams, born David Bourne. Nice to meet you guys. Good to be here. Good to be here, everybody.
She can look at you. So,
got you there. You didn't see that one coming. Wait. Got you there.
Oh, God. Just
David,
ignore me.
Vibrating.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, we've got the crux, but just tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll just go off. Just tell us.
How did we get here?
How did we get to this point? How did this happen? I tell you how it happened. It started a very long time ago. It started. This is no kidding. It started when I was a senior in high school, and I took drama in place of college-bound English because I wasn't going to college. I was in vocational air conditioning refrigeration.
Oh.
I was getting so invested.
Drama was
Your computer keeps freezing.
In 5th and 6th grade, I'm writing scripts and auctioneer, and 3 days in acting class. Long story to realize in drama in high school that I realized I was an actor, and then I just fell in love with it, and then started doing improv and comedy. And it was that year I went to McDonald's and accidentally dropped some change at the drive-thru. No kidding. And I had long hair and was thin and looked like Robin Williams at that time, a little bit younger. And I looked at this girl at the checkout line. I went, "Oh, excuse me, I seem to drop something." And she went, "Ah! it's smoke. It's smoke. It's smoke. So I said, what? She goes, it's smoke. You look just like Moke. Now, she was so, I said, what do you mean, Moke? She goes, that man on that TV show, Moke and Mindy. You look like him. You sound like him, too. And I went, never seen it. And then I was kind of off to the races. And so long story, I started studying acting pretty serious and didn't really think me and Robin looked too much alike. And,
Why wouldn't you go serious at that point?
I'm trying to be as serious, trying to become a classically trained actor here. And then all of a sudden I saw that Robin was kind of, I said I was like him a lot. And then I saw him in a couple of movies, and I saw him in The Survivors with Walter Matthau. And at the end of it, he strips down to his whitey tighties and has a nervous breakdown as a survivalist and turns to the camera. And I went, oh, hell, it's me.
That's me.
That's me. I'm looking in the mirror. And so I went serious with my acting and did my theatrical training at the University of Theater and studied at San Francisco, which like the Juilliard Coast. For the next 10 years, I wouldn't look at his work. I thought it would affect me as an actor. And pursuing it, and then continued as a professional union actor in stage and film and TV. And finally didn't really take the Robin series till I hit 40.
Yeah, this is killing me.
I want to know.
At the time I was really kind of starting to hit a lot of my film and television shows, and was just in Killers of the Flower Moon, nominated for 10.
Okay,
Twister's
you're cutting out really bad.
I took the Robin Williams thing national when I was in my mid-40s. And off to the race. I had no idea there was an underground impersonator work. People that do, the Rat Pack, except they bring the whole orchestra and everybody's singing. I'm like, oh, so I can do that with comedy. And I said, how do I do that? So I do an hour 15 tribute show to Robin and toured around the country and the U.S. and have been in dozens of TV shows, from Family Feud, Celebrity Lookalike Week as Robin. Yes, we got to keep the money. And
why didn't you just go audition? Why didn't you just go audition to be Genie in Aladdin then, and not let Will Smith ruin it?
Oh, yeah, you should have done that.
That's pretty funny. Actually, when I went out in Los Angeles, I was doing a pilot. I lived here in Texas, right? And so when I went to LA in pilot season in 2007, true story, this one I got cast in The Next Best Thing, and they actually had Universal Studios out there, and they were looking to replace the guy playing the lead in The Genie, and I'm a singer too, and they actually contacted me and said, you should come over and do this.
Yes.
And I saw their show, but I said, dude, I didn't come out to LA to become the Genie, bro. Came out here to try to get this going. The next thing you know, though, I end up booking all this Robin stuff. So I thought it was funny they were interested in me for that part, actually.
That would have been
Universal
so cool.
Studios in LA, and I went, nah, man, I'm here trying to do some film here, if that's okay. But it's been a fun thing. It's been my alter ego for 35 years. It's followed me it's followed me everywhere I've went. It didn't matter where I was doing, who I was talking to. They're like, wow, you know who you look like? I'm like, here it comes.
I know.
But I'm also a pretty serious actor, so I hide it on set. And it follows me.
Yeah.
It can be very powerful. When I show up to do the impression, people go, I assumed you were going to be kind of like Robin. I just didn't realize he was going to walk in the door.
Yeah.
I said, I know, it's powerful, man. It's okay, though. I got to meet Robin. I got to meet him. Yeah, I got to meet
Did
Robin.
you?
Did you get
what year
I got to meet this madman.
I would love to see side-by-side comparisons.
I met Robin. Oh, yes, it's absolutely. It's on my website. My picture. I was going to grab and bring it in. It's hanging on the wall. It's on my website, Robin Williams, David Bourne, RobinWilliamsImpersonator.com. It's on that website there. It was taken after a show in 2002. Yeah, I met him after he did the show that was Warning Parental Advisory Tour, which I pull a lot of comedy from for my tribute to him. And I went around backstage afterwards, and son of a dog, he came out and walked up to the gate and came outside the little gate and said he was going to sign for everybody, and he did. And I got.
When he got to you, did you do a double take?
Had a great story. Very sweet, deadpan. Thank you. And I looked at him and I said, hey, Robin, my name's David Bourne. I'm a local Houstonian, Texas actor. I said, I want you to know I haven't been able to do a job in the last 20 years without somebody saying or comparing me to you or saying I'm trying to pretend to be like you. And I said, so I just want to say thanks for stealing all my thunder, man. I swear. And he looked at me like this. He went, and went right back to signing. I said, quick, recover. So I said, oh, by the way, man, I said, I'm also a member of the Screen Actors Guild. So on behalf of the local guild, welcome to Houston. And he stopped. And he said, what? And I said, yes, I'm a professional actor, Robert. I said, welcome to town, man. He goes, oh. He leaned in. He goes, so in that case, it's nice to meet you, David. I'm Robin Williams. He goes, everybody I meet's an effing actor. And I laughed. I said, I bet they are, man. I'll never forget that. So he asked me what I'd been in, and we talked about Walker, Texas Ranger, and Prison Break and stuff, and told him I did a tribute, and I was working it up, and was trying to be him, was trying to be me most of the time, but it had just followed me around, and it got me a lot of work. And whenever they needed his type in the over 200 corporate films I've done, a lot of that came to play, man. And I'll never forget what he said.
Oh, you keep cutting out.
David, I got lots of movies and anything I'm doing.
Oh.
Signed my poster. He was like, sure, man. He said, he signed my poster, and off he went. And
how cool.
I was left there with my tongue hanging out going, what the hell just happened? That was cool.
Yeah.
So, yes.
What a cool guy.
And what about you guys? So it's so nice to meet you, of course. You obviously, are you the trio? If this is just our awesome fearsome threesome here we got going on here?
Yes. Tonight it is.
I'm Charlie, and these are my angels. So occasionally we have
hired gun caught in the ringer tonight. So right. I the Robin Williams thing was something that, and I've even had a kind of weird experience once. It was an interesting paranormal experience, actually. I have to talk about once. It was with a watch that I had on. We did a show called Celebrity Mystery Theater for 16 years. And we did it at a place called the Spaghetti Warehouse, which was known to be haunted in downtown Houston. Known to be haunted, had issues, Spaghetti Warehouse, Houston, Texas. And what happened was one night, I remember I was kind of getting bummed out because, I hadn't been booking a whole bunch of Robin, and Robin had passed away, and we were still doing the show.
So he gets into the paranormal.
I was kind of talking to him.
Robin doesn't want him to talk about it.
I think not.
I see this.
Cutting out,
really enjoying it. I just don't know. Sometimes I get frustrated, and she's like, "Well, just ride the wave, David. No one else can do this but you, And on the play, I wear a prop watch that's broken, and the prop watch is stuck at 5:35. And right before I went on stage, I looked down at my watch, and it had reset itself. This is this kind of watch. It had reset itself to the correct time.
Oh, you're kidding!
And I looked at my friend, Cheryl Qua, and I said, look, my watch just reset itself to the correct time. And then I had to make an entrance, and I went on stage, and I did my 12 minutes as a suspect in this murder mystery. And I came back off stage, and I said, look, it's advanced 12 minutes. I said, this is impossible. How the hell is this happening? And we talked about it for about 30 minutes and walked around, and I looked back 30 minutes later at my watch, and it had reset itself back to 5:35.
Wow.
She had seen it before because I had talked about how my watch was broken, and she saw it, my friend who does Julia Child. And I said, look, it's reset itself. I said, it's working again. It's the correct time. And then I went back and I said, look, it's went back to where it was. And that's when I knew that something was happening there and in the winds. And I said, that was kind of a sign to me from
yeah,
being compared to Robin. About what best of both worlds. That was great. It was amazing. Still have that watch.
Your internet's breaking up a little bit, so
still stuck on that broken time.
Still stuck on it.
It was the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was true. I don't know. I was seeing the whole thing. We're like,
that's crazy.
Oh no, Spaghetti Warehouse. They got flooded in Hurricane Harvey. Got 20 feet of water in the building. It's an old historical place, Spaghetti Warehouse. Been there for 80 years.
Wow.
I had to get it. This stuff has been a lot of fun. I got to work with Mickey Rooney and sit next to him for several hours.
I bet that was fun.
we were singing songs together, and he was talking about Judy. He was an interesting guy. We watched him in a movie that was everybody was an impersonator in it. Didn't do very well.
Yeah. What was it?
We really, I've got a chance to meet some interesting people, and it follows me to set. Follows me to set a lot. I mean, I show up on movie set like The Highwayman, the Netflix big film I'm in, or even Tink. It follows me to set. Everybody knows who I am a lot of time before I even show up.
Yeah.
I don't go to set and go, "Hi, I'm David Bourne. I impersonate Robin Williams." They're like, "You're crazy," and they don't understand that connection, because for me, it's actor who's a classically trained actor, who's been doing it his entire life, but as the kind of fast up that it would take, I believe, to try to do this character. So there's only 2 people in the world that actually attempt this, and so it was kind of interesting the way it all came together for me. And for years I said it was a curse, and I blessing. I said, it's the best of both worlds now when you can channel something, and it's
that so many people miss too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Audience and keep them engaged.
Yeah. Do you travel
with the woman? This is and I didn't realize I was actually talking to her on set, and I was on the Highwayman, Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson film. I played a big part in. I played Louisiana Chef with a Cajun accent. Ooh, that's some fun stuff there, Shaw. I'll complete that one.
Yeah.
And she said after a take in studio, Dale did. She goes, "From the profile, David, during that scene with Woody, you sure resemble Robin Williams." And I said, "Well, what's your connection with him?" She goes, "Well, my name's V. Neal." She goes, "I had Robin Williams in the chair every day for Mrs. Doubtfire. I was the one who designed his makeup and put on his prosthetics."
Oh, God.
And I went, "Really?"
Oh, my goodness.
You're that V. Neal. She goes, "Oh, yes, you did. He was wonderful. He's so funny and so charming. I just don't know what happened to him. What happened? I was so discouraged." And I said, "Well, hon," actually, it was strangely enough. I thought this was kind of a supernatural thing. I said, "Well, strangely enough, I've just finished shooting, and they've wrapped up episode, an hour-long scripted documentary called Robin Williams, The Price of Fame on the Reels channel, and we're going to address it this Sunday night. And it's on the Reels channel. We're going to cover the Lewy body dementia he had, which is what Robin got. Robin got Lewy body, 3 to 5 year life expectancy. He's 3 years into it. Anyone, this can happen to anybody.
I didn't know that.
People don't realize that. They kept thinking he had late onset, Parkinson's. He had Parkinson's. He had Lewy body. And Lewy body is what basically took his mind away from him, made Robin do what he did in the end. He really much lost his mind. And she goes, "Well, you'll have to," I said, "but I didn't tell her too much about it." I said, "You have to watch it out. We're going to cover it." And he was fighting hard. You'll have to do some
This is killing me.
No kidding. Do fair for her. Let's do it. That's it. Just watch the show this Sunday, sweet. It'll make you feel better. And then I go to work the next week, and everybody walks up to me on set. John Fusco, the writer, and Woody Harrelson, Kevin Costner stand in, and half the cast are going, "Great job Sunday night, David. Really good job." I'm going, "How did you guys find out about this?" V. Neal told everybody. And everybody watched it. And then we had a chance to embrace it. So I feel like this spirit of Robin has been around me a lot. My entire life. You know what I mean? And it's been an interesting journey, as well as the madcap world of David Bourne, who's seen some pretty crazy stuff too. But hey, that's what happens when you live this long. It's what happens when you live this long. You wouldn't know, Shay. You're too young. You're too young.
I don't know about that.
I'm just gonna sit there and talk for an hour and a half. So there you go.
You talk as long as you want. We're just glad you're here.
You just read a book.
Madcap world, isn't it? Well, it's interesting. I went up to the Twisters set and recently, and this one of the guys who's is Anthony Ramos. He's a upcoming big star now. Really nice guy. We've become friends. It's funny. He's the same age as my son. I go, "Yeah, get me a beer." And really cool guy. And I'm working with all these younger guys. You're the guy who started in Hamilton. Anthony Ramos goes, "Hey, man, you stand-up comedy on a recent show." He tells the director, and then Lee Isaac Chung, before I wrapped the first week, called me aside and asked me if I'd be too embarrassed to do a little Robin Williams for him. I've never in my life had a director on a movie ask me to do a little Robin for him. That's when you know that it's okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Were you embarrassed?
No, not really. I just
No.
I just spoken to a little riff about his name is Mr. Lee Isaac Chung. You know, the Oscar-nominated incredible director. His name is Isaac, though. He knows about Isaac, like Isaac Hayes. He's the lover of women. I just kind of went crazy off and made him piss his pants a little. And it was maybe he'll cast me in a show. I'm ready to do the movie, Ma.
He might. He just might.
This is great.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Madness, the madcap world.
He's not seen that movie either.
I'm talking about some of the paranormal experiences I've had in my life. Because I actually had a couple, just as David Bourne, besides me being possessed by Robin Williams.
I mean, it could be worse.
Could be worse. Yeah. It could be possessed by Charles Manson.
Yes, that's true. That would be worse. For real.
I do hear he was quite the musical talent, though.
Oh, yes. That's right. So was Paul Berlin. So Paul Lynn was pretty musically inclined. I remember my first time at Fitzgerald's nightclub. This was me as David Bourne, because as an actor, you're doing comedy. I'm 33 years old, and I'm working as a bar back at this 2-story old Polish dance hall, Fitzgerald's nightclub, right? And at nighttime, everybody leaves the building, and I've been working there 2.5 years. And it's like used to be an old dance hall. It's got an old wooden building on the first floor, and the second floor is.
Oh, dang.
In there, and that's where
I just want him to read me a story.
He just have to stay there till 3 a.m., 3:30, stocking beer.
Nice.
And one night, and I never had any issues ever. No one ever told me nothing at Fitzgerald. And I kept hearing noise on stage as I was up there stocking the beer all by myself with one lonely light on way across the corner, and kept hearing cans and crap getting kicked over on stage, and kept hearing stuff getting moved, and walked over, and I knew that nobody. I kept hearing noises and stuff, and as I was sitting there, I just kept feeling this enormous presence in the room, and of course it's the old classic thing where I'm stocking the beers, and then just as I'm sitting here at the bar putting in the beers, this shadow walks right up to the bar. Just walks right up to the bar. And
Excuse me.
What'll it
bartender,
be?
I can tell when someone has walked up to the bar and is standing there. And and as the shadow approached, this room went cold, and a chill went over my body like I ain't never seen. And I still had 8 cases of beer to stock.
It can wait.
Talking to the room, explaining to them that I had to complete the job, and they were welcome to drink anything we had. It was on the house.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's all year. It's making a triple and a double, and so I finally kept stocking. Luckily, they were in these cardboard boxes of long neck bottles, and I'd get the bottle, stock it, and throw the box. Maid staff would take the box out the next day. I just had to get the beer in the cooler, or it wouldn't go by the next night. I had to do it that night. You can't sell beer.
Yeah.
And then I have to haul ass out of this dark room and turn off the light and run 20 feet in the dark to these doors that I have to
I'll leave that light on and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to leave the light on.
And I shit you not, that shadow was there. It was there, and then it backed away. Then it came to the end of the bar, and I just let it sit there, man, and booked out of there. And I got downstairs, and I'll never forget this. As I got downstairs, I'd already done that part of the bar. I could hear upstairs on the second floor, I kid you not, a rumbling, a sound of like there was like tons of people up there talking or dancing. I'm like, the bar is closed, man. I'm getting the hell out of here. So I finally went out the side door and left. and turned left in front of Fitzgerald's and looked up.
You left. They were helping themselves.
They were helping themselves, and there's this shadow standing up there on the second floor. There's just this somebody standing up there in the door frame as I went by, and I thought, man, I don't know if I'm
ready to get you out.
You don't get paid enough for that.
Yeah. They were like, let's get this guy out. It's our party time.
That is the spirit of a very faithful security guard.
Or something.
It's normal.
I was out of there.
Fitzgerald, and apparently I didn't know this. I didn't know this crap. I said, anybody ever had anything funny and an oddball happened late at night? He looked right at me and said, oh, so you've seen the ghost? Yeah. And I went, yeah. In fact, there was a whole crew of me. He goes, oh, it must have been party night, because sometimes they come back and have a big dance. And I went,
yeah.
How did you know about the big dance? And I said, yeah, it happens sometimes, because, we don't know if it could have been Sarah's husband who had been lost in an accident once in a motorcycle crash, or if someone else. The place was historical. And so that was kind of cool. I thought, ooh, there it is. I'm in a zone, man. I'm in a zone.
Yeah. I think I've seen somebody investigate that place before, and they could hear the people dancing upstairs.
Interesting, right? Very odd. And of course, basically, they tore it down a year and a half ago. They sold it and leveled the building.
Yeah.
But the poor spirits, where do they go?
Yeah, where do they go? I don't know.
Where are they going to dance and get their free booze now?
Yeah.
I can't imagine. It's such empty shell parking lot. It's a sad thing,
That is sad.
It is. It's very sad.
I guess they move on to somewhere else. I don't know.
They had to. And they said there's a lot of stuff down in the Galvez Hotel. I worked in a film recently called Old Man Jackson. Old Man Jackson, the PG comedy classic starring David Bourne. Played Sissy and family up there.
What is it?
We have all kinds of guest stars in this film. Old Man Jackson. It's on Amazon. Available for rent. It's a real small independent film that I star in. Which one's that? Old Man Jackson.
Yeah, your internet's cutting in and out, so we every now and then we lose you.
Old Man Jackson coming out.
Oh,
hello. Come back. Come back.
Yeah, I had Robin Williams back for 30 minutes. Okay.
I will treasure it.
A friend of mine was there. It's a ghost. The manager at the hotel remembered me from the Highwaymen and upgraded my ass to the Howard Hughes suite.
Oh my goodness. That's cool.
That's a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got a couch to the side, my watchable window. And she got her clothes and hung them over the chair.
This is killing me inside.
I know.
I'm on this nasty look at it. I want to lay stuff on the couch for people's butt bend. And so we moved the chairs out of the way. We took pictures. Pictures.
This is the wholesomeness that America
have been moved back together, and her clothes been laid on the. Looked at her and I said, when we left, these chairs.
It sounds like he's had quite a few.
She goes, no, they weren't, and I guarantee you, I didn't put my clothes on that couch.
Oh my goodness!
Throw them all away now.
That's wild. I would have to chalk it up maybe to somebody coming in and moving them, but why would they lay her clothes out? That's the weirdest part.
Yeah, we're talking it was like we left at 8:30 and came back at 10 o'clock at night. So there was no staff coming in there, and it was very interesting. I mean, I was like, wow, they just didn't like the fact we'd moved those chairs. And then I asked the staff downstairs, and they said they have a lot of issues of things getting moved around in that particular room. Had another friend who was from New York who was staying in a room. And he said the classic. He goes, well, last night my water came on 3 times. I couldn't get it to go off. And I went, which room were you in? And I've told the manager down there, and he goes, that's the one where the water comes on. I said, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's still having it down there, right? Little science.
That is scary.
I ought to tell you these things before you stay in those rooms.
You think they're
fine. It's all right. We were so. Well, I was wrapped that night, so there was so much alcohol. I was like, come on in, have some. It's good. Woo, come on, it's good.
I could always use some more, friends.
Bring me a drink of that water.
Yeah, when they start talking back, that's the time to run. So,
Yeah.
As long as they're friendly.
David, your internet's breaking in and out, so sometimes we're missing some of the things you're saying.
Yes, of course.
But you're in something right now. You're filming right now. So
I noticed it's kind of. I have my speaker turned down because it kind of.
Yeah, it's. I think it's your Wi-Fi signal. I don't know.
It's frozen. Keep freezing.
Yeah.
It's a project called Second Baptist Day. They do these feature films. Should I log in and log back out?
I don't know.
You can try if you'd like. I hate to lose you but yeah, it's
stop video and then maybe start again. Let me stop video and start again. How about that? Hang on.
I don't think that'll help. Maybe.
You don't think it'll help? You don't think it'll help?
Maybe you could try it.
My technical support guys in here.
Check.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Better.
Can you hear me now?
Are you
allergic to shellfish?
Only on Fridays. So.
Alien fries. Well, I have another thing. Alien fries in Centerville, Texas. They're called calf fries, but they ain't from an alien. But they're from a place you've never been before. Calf fries. The film I did.
What part of Texas are you in?
Questions. Throw something at me while I have a chance to listen and take in any perspective questions or ideas you'd like to talk about.
What part of Texas are you in?
Down here in Houston, actually. Yes.
Houston.
H-Town. Houston. That's right. I'm a 5th generation Texan, which means I come from a long line of people who've never seen snow. Yeah. Well, that wasn't 26 was a pretty big year. But there wasn't.
Oh, you're funny.
Well, I live in Atlanta, and trust me, when a quarter of an inch of snow, they just all lose their mind and drive into the closest thing they can find. So,
very similar to what happened here.
My family is from upstate New York, so there's 4 feet of snow, and it's not even a 2-hour delay.
I know.
I'm in Tennessee, and we closed down at an inch and a half of snow, or an inch. We have to run out for bread and milk, and that's when everybody gets in trouble.
Bread and milk.
Yes, bread and milk.
And even where I'm from around here, the road gets slightly too cold, and they cancel school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they let kids out here.
They would do that, absolutely.
So, David, you've had all these paranormal experiences, and you feel like you're possessed by Robin, but yeah, well, I guess you feel like you're possessed. I don't know if that's not the right word, I guess, but
no exorcism allowed.
You can feel his energy. How about that? I've seen him in concert. I was a paramedic at the Fox in here in Atlanta, and I had to interact with him some. And when you hit the door running tonight, you were Robin. So
Yep.
It's a persona I've been able to adapt, and certainly I think kind of a character I've been able to get to a certain point of realism. But like anything, you have to dive into it.
Right.
And that always makes it, like any character I've played. I've been in over 150 stage plays, so I've done historical characters. But when you do Robin, it's something that's a little bit different, but you just have to really dive into it head first,
As a more serious question on the note of that, with diving so head first into it, how has that like affected you mentally? You feel like it's helped you any, or
only if the audience laughs. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But honestly, but to answer your question, it does. I mean, for me, it's just the character that I play.
Mm-hmm.
The whole I would end up, and then what you're going to do is you're going to play the part of the stand-up comedian telling a joke. I mean, you're going to rehearse it and say it in a certain way, like you do the plays, and it's going to hit. Like anything, it's fun to let loose and become Robin, who's just such a free, open spirit, but it's pretty scripted. You know what I mean? I can riff and improv through the show, but it's all pretty scripted. Even Robin would improv stuff that was actually scripted. I seen him do the same routine several times and went, wow, you just made that up for the third time for me. That's what a good actor he was.
Yeah.
He, of course, could pull it out for 15 minutes and, mess with the audience, of course, brilliantly. But he was so good. He would try his shows like that. And that's when I started going, oh, I can incorporate that into mine and see how far we can take it. I took it to an uncomfortable level. I had people chasing me down the street and Hollywood Boulevard swarming me, and
did you really?
women crying and squeezing my arms. I mean,
it's terrible.
It was interesting. I tell you.
Those weren't fans. Those were stalkers.
Yeah.
God, just write me a check. Oh my goodness.
But that fear, all I see is Popeye.
Oh, but it's
you need the pipe.
me and Robin are what's called a stream of consciousness comedian.
I believe that.
The bigger the extra bit. Just a bit. Anything.
Yeah.
Give me any situation or moment, I'll go.
It's killing me. This is killing me inside. It's because he's freezing out.
Yeah.
And see, Bobby wouldn't come on this show because he was afraid I was going to embarrass him.
How?
He didn't think that I knew that this wasn't really Robin.
Oh.
So, David, if you're there, yeah, hopefully he's yeah. I don't think it was actually the calendar if you'd read it, but
yeah.
He's like, dude, he's dead. Like, no, it's all good. He'll be on tonight.
I know it's all of us.
No. He told me he was the real thing. What are you talking about?
When he hit the front gate there, it wasn't. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, it was.
No, even in the pictures on his website, it's like, how can you look more Robin Williams-y than Robin Williams?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Brenda, is that a secret code for something? So
she said one of us was. Well, I've got a little echo. I think it's coming from your mic, Glenn.
It can't come from his new mic. Brand new.
Where it's getting hot. Are you still getting hot?
No, it is now actually off the floor. So it's got 360 air around it, and it's got not really sure what it is, but it looks nuclear.
I think we're both. Say something.
Say something.
Hello.
She's echoing too.
I don't hear her echo. I hear me occasionally, but I don't know. I have been on Streamlabs for the past 3 days, and they're probably watching right now. Sending up their next level of technical support.
I hear you cracking too, cracking and popping.
Oh yeah. So Yeah, I sent the complaint all the way up, and it was like I would hate to have to go somewhere else, but got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Oh, he just texted me. He said he's froze up.
Oh no! Darn
Yeah,
it!
yeah, I know. It was great.
I feel like somebody like whacked me upside the head. I just still feel like.
Yeah. I mean, it really, if you weren't paying attention, you know, or if you didn't know about things that was going on.
Yeah.
In the world,
Anybody walking by would have sworn that was him.
Here he is.
Oh yeah. There's who?
Oh, never mind. Crazy.
Oh. There we go. All right, he's back. Are you back?
How are you now? Are we back? Give it to you.
I want to go back to that.
High-speed fiber optic is not working very well tonight, or it's not merging very well with your processor, but we'll try the best we can.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I don't know what it is. So one of my I guess fans out there, she swears that we should be paying better attention, that you're really Robin, and that you're just not telling us so.
Of course I am. That's right.
I don't know. So,
I will follow it blindly.
She says, but pay attention to the echoes. Well, actually, echo, but
don't pay attention to her. So, God.
I think
yeah, the internet's freezing, and it's annoying me, and
I'm afraid it's just not going to work. Dang it, dog, rat it.
Well, you know what?
God damn it, son of a biscuit eater. What language?
I know.
Well, the good thing is, I've got your number now, so I can get you again. It's not like
come back. Will you come back again, where we can actually talk?
Maybe we should try earlier with the stars are more aligned or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's never been this bad. But you guys,
I can just, you could actually keep talking. I can log out and log back in and try it again. I'd be willing to give it a shot here.
Yeah, if you want to give it a shot and try logging out and come back in. I know your time is precious, so I don't want to bug you to death. You're more than hospitable to me.
I will bug you to death because I have the same name as your wife.
She will haunt you.
I will say we will double Dina you.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
Hey.
We're not clear. His wife could be just as crazy as you, Dina. So.
You're right.
And I didn't ask you, Robin, but or David, but does your wife?
I have no idea.
I was going to ask him if she gets upset like you do when we call you Deanna.
Yeah.
That's usually my computer. It says in my voice, Deanna has entered the building.
You say it.
Well, yeah, because it's in my ear. So.
That doesn't mean it's right.
I always say what's in my ear. So.
Okay.
Hey, I'm listening back to that show where the other guy was having so many problems. Wayne, the fire marshal.
Yeah.
There's somebody whistling in it, and there's somebody grunting in it.
Really?
I have ripped the audio, and I'm trying to get it down to about $1.58. Or I'm sorry.
Whistling and grunting.
Yeah. Hello there, Uncommon Soul. How are you? Can she hear us? Uncommon Soul, are you with us? All right. Well,
which firefighter?
She's I got Uncommon Soul on the phone, and I can't hear her. She can't hear me. So hold on. Hello, Uncommon Soul. Are you there now?
I am.
Hello.
Is Robin Williams still there?
Well, we're trying to channel him. it's hard from where he's at.
He's in the bowels of Texas.
Oh.
Were we kind of surprised there? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. I think we got him back. Nope. Are you back? He's back, but I don't hear audio.
Is he still freezing?
No, he's not freezing, but his mic's not working.
I don't know.
Are you muted?
No, he's not showing.
Are you muted? I can't hear you.
Everyone's a comedian.
It's funny. I don't even have to know what she's saying.
I will take it. Like I was saying, can you see the screen while we're doing this? Oh, he's traveled back in time to where he's doing mime.
I'm missing a wonderful.
Hey, he can hear you. I think he can hear.
Yeah, he can hear us.
Common soul. He could maybe do yes or no question.
He can hear us. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
wonderful.
why don't you ask him a question? If he doesn't give you the finger.
Okay. Let's see. What was it like playing on Mrs. Doubtfire?
Well, that's kind of hard to do a yes or no.
He can do a thumbs up.
No, I feel like he can do it. He can do it.
He might be able to.
Oh, he's telling
I
you.
mean, he is a ghost and all, you know.
Well,
A little part of him is.
Oh,
Maybe
he's giving a whole speech. Can he
He
hear?
felt that in his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is killing me. We're gonna have David back. We're gonna have to. If I have to fly out there and interview him in person, because I took so much grief over the fact that you're gonna get him, and then they were like, got him.
That would be so neat, though, if you got like an actual. Oh my goodness! Could you imagine the show? I can visualize it now. It would be amazing, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to carry me because I'm not really funny on my own. So.
Oh yes, you are.
Everybody is. I don't know about that, but all right. Well,
okay.
Well, Uncommon Soul, I'm going to let you go in case somebody else wants to call in. But did you have anything you want to say to David before we let you go? You can talk dirty if you want.
Wonderful job as the impersonator of Robin Williams. Actually stole my heart seeing it. Uh-huh. So I am actually very glad that I tuned into your show tonight.
Well, good. I'm glad you tuned in too. Thank you for calling, and you're always welcome. And we're gonna get him back eventually. So he's got a busy Hollywood career, but we're gonna wrangle him. So I should have him and Miranda on the same show. That would be like
that would be so neat.
I might try to make that work. So he does. I'll have to tell him who Miranda Maverick is unless he's an MMA follower. But all right, I will talk to you soon, Uncommon Soul. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, honey.
She's one of our regulars, David. I don't know. Your mic is now totally gone, so I've got perfect video, but no mic. So I don't know. Gremlins. But no, we were saying we'll have to get you back again, and I'll see if I can get you with Miranda Maverick is an MMA fighter who's a big fan of our show, and that would be like a double celebrity show for me to have both of you on at the same night. So but be careful though, she might kick your ass. So
she's just gonna pick him up by the shirt collar and toss him.
Yeah.
Tiny girl.
He'd probably thank her.
Oh.
I can get her autograph. Sight gag.
Oh, it's very cold. Yes.
It's what works for radio, but I love every minute of it. So. Oh, David, I appreciate your time. I know that you've
thank you so much.
Worked hard to get me here. We're gonna get you back. We'll get the technical issues figured out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's but it has been great. An honor to meet you. Finally, we text back and forth, and you've sent and done the promos for me, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you've done to support the show. So, yeah, we'll get you back, and you can make fun of Dina. So,
Oh.
That's great. Thank you, David. We will talk to you soon. I'll shoot you a message tomorrow. Bye. Peace out, brother. Oh, really? It hurts my soul. I finally got him in here, and the computer's messing up.
I know.
Hurts
I really
my soul.
like him.
That was
nice. Some of his other stuff too. Some of his own acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's done a lot. If you looked at his file, goodness gracious. I don't want to say he's old. Been around a bit, so.
Yeah. Did you say he's old?
I said, no, I don't want to say he's old, but he's been around a bit there. You look at all he's got a list, and then he's in the upcoming Twister coming out.
Yeah.
Which is exciting to me. I wanted to ask him about that, so.
Yeah.
Get him back. We're going to get him back. So. I hope that one of the things this show generates is a following of not just the local and, when I say local, I mean to like Atlanta or Cheyenne where you live or, Knoxville, not just a local. I hope we get the communities, but I hope that when we do get celebrities or athletes or musicians, that they have that feeling like I can reach out to Miranda and just talk to her anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and it's a comfortableness, and I hope to get that with other celebrities. I've had a couple of them, actually just recently, a couple of them gave me their phone number and told me to text them. And before I texted them, they called me. I was like, So I was a little bit taking time for one over the weekend.
We need to get Peyton. Peyton's funny.
Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning, he's hilarious.
I don't think I could stand Peyton Manning on my show.
Why?
If you get Peyton Manning, I'll let him be on the show, but I don't know that I'm really a fan.
Oh my gosh. He's funnier than crap.
I like his brother better. Did you see his brother is actually doing a Netflix show? Do you remember last year when ESPN sent Eli sent him to training camp for who was it? Notre Dame. And they got complete makeup and everything. Did you never see that? Yeah, ESPN he'd been out of the league for I think like 3 years. And they did complete makeup, everything. Made him look like a young kid. And they sent him to training day. They'd already called the coaching staff and said, "Hey, look, this is what we're doing. We're going to be filming. Just tell everybody it's a documentary or whatever." And he pulled it off, pulled a 40 quicker than some of the people that were younger than him by a lot. And I forget the name of the character he played in it, but he just kept mumbling over and over. He's like, "Yeah, I like third long ball. I like third long ball. That's what I do." It was just so funny. He just kept us really, and he would talk to himself, and other people were like, "Oh." At the end of it, he came out and told all the college kids who he really was. Yeah, it was really funny. But Netflix assigned him to actually do a series of that character. Really? That whole season. So that I'm kind of excited
They're all
about.
Pretty funny, actually.
So are they? Is it like a sports prank show? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're going to try and tell this. He built it kind of actually like the first guy that we had on Mark. He is kind of like Eli had built this character throughout his career of who he could have been, because he lived under Peyton Manning. And I mean, let's be honest, Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterbacks of all times. God,
I don't watch sports.
I don't like Peyton Manning, but
thought you said he was your favorite.
No, he said he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He doesn't like him.
I can't take it away from him. Yeah, but I can't statistically take it away from him. It is still, I guess by records, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Even I think this kid Mahomes in Kansas City is going to smoke their ass. But I think that Eli, living in his brother's shadow, he built this character up. And a lot of people don't realize there's another Manning that never made a football team.
Benji?
I don't remember his name, but he does sports comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if there's 3 or 4 of them. I know Benji.
I don't know about Benji. That doesn't sound familiar.
Eli and Peyton, but I don't know if there's a 4th one or not. Seems like there's one that starts with an R.
Well, we'll find out.
Bobby's not here, so we have Shay.
Are they all boys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there may be a girl thrown in there. And now it's Peyton's
Cooper.
That's right. Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah.
He's for ESPN doing comedy stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was thinking there was a Richie.
But now it's Peyton's, I guess it's Peyton's son, or maybe it's Eli's son, is going to Texas.
So Cooper, I guess, did play football and was supposed to play for Ole Miss, but he got diagnosed with spinal stenosis, so he couldn't play football.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Archie Manning being Archie Manning being she said that was her fun fact for the day.
Thank you.
But yeah, if Archie Manning was your dad and Peyton Manning was your older brother, yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this character that Eli came up with is somebody that he like projected all through life.
Okay.
He never felt like he could fill up the Peyton. And actually, if you look at a lot of statistics, he's won more Super Bowls than Peyton. So
yeah.
I don't know. All right, I won't bore you all with my sports knowledge. I leave that to my FM radio job. So
okay.
Well, hey, everybody wants to know about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, don't they? I mean,
I couldn't care less about them.
I couldn't either. It's just a couple rich people. I don't care.
Take me back to when Taylor Swift was singing country. That was like that was my growing up.
That was better.
My program director at the radio station listens to me here. I know he does. I've caught him stalking me, and I said that I couldn't name a single Taylor Swift song on this show. I said that Tuesday I had a Taylor Swift song on my lineup.
Oh, no.
Did this? Why did you do this to me? And it went into like the Monkees. How do we do this?
Oh no.
I have a lot of fun on that show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I could probably name you the whole first album.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I couldn't, and I mean, I grew up really like the cassette tape era, so it was when I was, so we had to put a pencil in there, eraser in there, and rewind it. You understand.
We had a really cool music teacher whenever I was in school, who ended up later being my marching band instructor in high school, and my thing for my allowance every week was to like go get a CD or like save up for one of the newer ones. So I had a humongous case filled with CDs, and the music teacher, he was awesome, but also very lazy. So his music class was, here Cheyenne brings in her thing full of CDs and plays whatever everybody wants to play, and we sing. And yeah.
That's more like a DJ, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was just like, all right, you guys got all this to pick from.
What's really cool is
music study class.
the program director and the owner, they allowed me to do the tribute to my friend who passed away. And I asked him, I said, if you can get me a Bigfoot song too. So I want a Bigfoot song. And so for like 2 weeks, he's been searching for a Bigfoot song. And he messages me last night and he goes, I need to thank you for the ear rape. I was like, what?
Oh, no.
He says, do you know how much I've had to listen to? And he goes, Bigfoot is code for big something else. Or I was sexually abused by Bigfoot in the woods. He goes, yeah. You wouldn't know it by the pictures or the albums.
No, it isn't.
Oh, yeah. He's like, thank you. I've enjoyed this experience. And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to get a bunch of monkeys now. I get it. Check. They're great people to work with. They've got a great sense of humor.
Suggest him the movie to watch.
No, I will not let Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
And those people contacted me again. I need to send them to bobbydizzle.com.
Yeah.
You're gonna stick there. Hey, we could book that as like a midnight show.
We could.
Because they have been messaging me. And we wouldn't have to put it out necessarily on YouTube. We could go out on Rumble.
Yeah, could do that. Yep.
I don't know. Or we could just record it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, we have done 2 hours. Where did the time go? Shy, tell us about you and your Travis. You and your Travis. That's the way I'm going to identify you and your Travis. Where can we get more information on that? And you got anywhere you're going to be or doing anything here in the next couple of days?
So you can find me on Facebook at Shy LK Asylum. If you want to check out anything by my fiance, you can look up J. Travis Smith. We have a Kickstarter that I believe is ending in 15 to 17 days. We just fully funded the other day, and you can find that on either of our pages, or you can look on Kickstarter and search Death Rain. It's Death Rain Gehenna. It's the first one that pops up when you type in Death Rain. And I'll be working and I'll be home.
Cool. Well, that's what you want.
Misfit Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. You want to come on Misfit Saturday night? Coming on Misfit Saturday night?
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, you and Dina need to get busy and come up with a topic then, because I have not had it all week. I've had 4 hours sleep in like 3 days because this damn cold medicine, high blood pressure medicine has got me wide awake. Well, that and the Mountain Dew. So tonight I'm probably going to take like a handful of pills to go unconscious to get rid of this cold that the tiny terrorist has given me. So
sound terrible.
Yeah, I know.
I'll have to get us pulled up on the West Virginia jail mugshot page, and we can go through and make fun of the mugshots.
We could do like side-by-side comparisons with Bobby's restaurants. So.
Oh, we could.
Probably a lot of the same. So
no, I doubt it.
There's probably some restaurants around Knoxville or some establishments around Knoxville that do something silly like that too. So you should.
Yeah, we could do that.
If not, you should just pop up like paparazzi and just take some pictures and run.
Yeah.
Hey.
You won't see this on the internet.
Look at that goofy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Look at the face he's making.
Y'all are trying to get my ass beat.
Well, hey, remember, I'm the one that wanted to put B Dizzle in the ring with Miranda for a fundraiser. So I would set it all up. I would do it all.
Yeah.
Take it out by Miranda would be well worth it. And we could have Robin Williams calling the fight.
Oh, that would be awesome.
They could both be running around the ring.
Yeah.
And then I can try to get that chick that we were talking about, and she can be holding seances off to the side.
Yeah, I want more details. I want more details on that. That was
I was telling my boss about it, and she's going,
Yeah.
And I was like, there are too many questions and not enough is said here.
Yeah. The idea is she was married to somebody in the afterlife from a totally different century. He was an abusive alcoholic who cheated on her.
He was a Victorian soldier.
That's correct.
Named Eduardo.
Yeah, you got more than I did already, so.
I was reading it on the way to work. I was like, "Oh my god!"
And this was in the afterlife, where he cheated on her.
No.
Yeah, he's a ghost.
So, well, yes. So they got married somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then she called it quits because he was just too much.
That's too much. I don't know.
That's interesting.
So they were married for a year, and then after that, she had to call it quits because somehow in the relationship where she is alive and he is dead, he somehow cheated on her, which then forced her to get an exorcist to make sure that he was gone. But hey, they're still on good terms, and he gave her his blessing for her to become a paranormal researcher.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Diane's mission in life is to find that woman for me. And y'all will have to keep me out of trouble because you know the questions I'm going to be asking.
Yes, I know.
And I'm gonna be like, all right, look, this one it might be a little NC-17, but we gotta know.
We gotta know. Yeah.
It's true, and I got a button just for that, so I'm a little late on it.
Was he laying that link down, or You said he was dragging you off the bed, so
did he lay the pipe to you, ma'am? Was he also a plumber?
Yeah,
he was showing her his sword.
Yeah.
Can you say that again, Cheyenne?
Did you get stabbed, lady?
You want to get stabbed?
I have to record moments of you, and then I got moments of Sonya recorded. I can just play back at my leisure. Don't worry, I've been doing this Dita for years, so you just have to get used to it.
It's okay.
I'm harmless. Well, I do bite, but
we bite back harder.
Right.
I haven't felt that tickle in a long time. All right, let's see. So who do we got? We got the Great and Guardian Gang coming up on Friday, same time, same bat channel. We have a gentleman that's a Coast Guardie. Coast Guardie? He's with the Coast Guard. He's going to tell us his life story. He's a coastie. Then we got the Misfits. These two young ladies, beautiful young ladies, are going to figure out what it is. And then next week, we have Anthony Caro, who's a full-time writer, and then we had Ed Jowett following that. He is also a full-time author, if I recall. So,
righty.
So yeah, that's where you can see and hear us next. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Thanks for putting up with us.